Hi everyone, Sue Matsuki here with a brand new Sue's Muse. Welcome to 2026. I'm delighted to have a muse for today whose name is Rebecca Watts. Thank you for joining us, Rebecca. I'm so happy to see you after spending so much time with you at Winter Rhythms. It's nice to see you so soon afterwards, but I missed you already. How's it going?
It's all going great. And it is such a privilege for me to be able to sit and have this conversation with you and to work on Winter Rhythms with you. It was just a joy.
It's a good thing to volunteer for something like that because I know that you met a lot of people that you would not have known otherwise. And I offer that to all of you out there. When you can raise your hand and do something like that, it's an opportunity for you. That's how I started. I actually volunteered to help Richard Skipper backstage when he was doing Carol Channing. And I would hang his dresses up and lay out his makeup. And eventually he invited me to be a guest on a show. And he kind of put me on the map. So you never know how those things are going to happen. So always raise your hand. And you did. And you were just so wonderful to us. You did all but I think 2 nights of the entire series, which was pretty impressive. So welcome. I want to talk to you about you as an artist, but the first thing I want to get to is you have 3 little letters after your name, PhD. Tell me a little bit about your academic background and how, if any way, that brought you to music. I find that fascinating. What's your background?
Well, my background is that I have always been involved in music, but my PhD is in higher education leadership. So, yeah, it's like it's the 2 parts of your life that sometimes come together. And so I first started with my undergraduate degrees in communication, worked in PR and marketing at a health system, and then later became a public information officer at the state education agency in Illinois. Then I was invited by the state superintendent as he took a university presidency to take that step with him as his chief of staff. And so then I really shifted and decided higher education was really a calling for me from a policy perspective. So I then earned the PhD and served at a number of universities before retiring just a couple of years ago.
Wow, that's so impressive. And how did, if any way, did this bring you to music? Was music your kind of like side joy with this very serious job that you had to do? How did you come to music? You said you've always been involved in musical theater and community theater. Tell us a little bit about that background.
Yeah, so I've always been in music, and music in my life actually predates my higher education career and training. So it was a rule at my parents' house that when you turned 5, you started piano lessons. So that's what we did.
Good parents, good parents.
Yes, yes. And encouragement all along the way, and then encouraged singing. So, throughout school, and then even in undergrad as electives, I would take private applied music, specifically piano, and continue that, but was always involved from the time I graduated high school, always got involved in community theater in our community. And so I was on stage, I played in orchestra pits, I volunteered to do props, to your point about volunteering, just was engaged in as many ways as possible. And that's actually how I met my husband. He was an orchestra conductor for a community theater production of Chicago, and I was the piano player. He was playing trumpet and conducting at the same time. And then very quickly after that, this was 1983, we got married and continued to do musical theater, but we also formed groups. So he would lead a four-piece band that would play, wedding receptions and private parties and those sorts of things. And then he led a 16-piece big band, and he wrote arrangements for me to get to sing with the 16-piece big band, which is...
And I'm assuming those were like American Songbook standards and kind of...
Absolutely. Yeah. So such a joy to be able to work with a variety of different groups. And I feel like my musical learning just still continues to this day. There's always something new to learn, a new genre, some new style of singing or playing. So it's my lifelong passion. And now I get to do it all the time.
Well, I've heard you sing at my open mic, and you're new to me. I mean, your name's new to me. You're no relation to Mr. Lenny Watts, are you?
No, but we love to joke that we might be. He's originally from St. Louis, and I'm from Central Illinois, and we haven't ruled that out, but we don't think we.
I said you two should do a show together called like a thousand megawatts or something like that. It would be a cute concept. So you're doing your very first technically your very first solo show here in New York with your husband, which I think is beautiful, kind of coming full circle. Are you going to have a trio? What's it going to be like? And it's up at the Triad, and it's called Songs of Love and Freedom. But you're celebrating, there's another layer, you're celebrating troubadours. So tell us a little bit about how this concept came to be. How excited are you to work with your husband again? And what kind of band can we expect up at the Triad?
Yeah, so the concept of the song is a tribute to the singers and songwriters who came through the Troubadour LA, which is a very, very famous music venue, and really at the border of West Hollywood and Beverly Hills. And it doesn't seem like either one of those places. But so back in the day, the people that came through there were Bob Dylan and Joni Mitchell and James Taylor and Carly Simon, and that moving forward, Bonnie Raitt and Sheryl Crow, all sorts of people that came through there and were writing and singing their own music. And especially that period in the mid to late 70s and into the 80s was really music that spoke to my heart as I was growing up. And so we decided that we would do a tribute. We did a road trip to research the Troubadour. We went out just a few months ago and visited the Troubadour. And so to honor that music, the band that we will have, my husband is music director and he will play trumpet and flugelhorn on it. Sean Harkness, the amazing Sean Harkness, is playing guitar. And Sean is working to confirm our bass player and our drummer for us because, as you mentioned, we're new here and we don't have all the networking connections with musicians. And then we have singers that will be joining me in singing, and that is Billy Blair and Grace Pena.
Grace, I became familiar with Grace. I did a Sue's Muse with her because she's a new gal in town. She's got a beautiful big voice. You and Grace came to the last open mic, and you did a song that was just stunningly beautiful. You said Idina Menzel she wrote it?
She did.
Wow, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous song. But that was the first time I really got to hear your voice. And you have colors of like a Bonnie Raitt on a blues end, and you have colors of, folk singer, and you have colors of, I'm sure you can sing jazz with the best of them, having this background with a 16-piece orchestra and everything. So are you going to mix and match? Are you going to be doing a selection of all these songs from Troubadour LA, or who are you focusing on in the program?
So it's interesting. I should have said this. My director is Katie Lavelle, and so she's really helped me kind of envision how the story goes through this. And I would say the first half of the show is very much focused on women singer-songwriters. So it is the names that I've mentioned before, and then Linda Ronstadt, while not known as a songwriter, her story from the Troubadour is amazing. Mm-hmm. She was performing there, and she had this backup band, and the producer came to her and said, "Hey, we're going to produce an album for you, but it's just you. The band's not included." And so the band all quit. Well, they later became the Eagles. So we will pay tribute to the Eagles and to James Taylor and to Randy Newman. So it is going to be an eclectic mix of music, but really kind of and also, I'm going to tell a few stories because the Troubadour also has been a comedy venue through the years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So there are some Lenny Bruce, the Smothers Brothers, Steve Martin was just a fixture there. And in fact, recently went back and did a video from the Troubadour and sat on the stage. So it was very much an eclectic. Started out in a coffee house and then moved to the location where it is right now. So very much kind of that 60s, 70s vibe.
Wow. Now tell me, it's Sunday night, February 22nd at the Triad, but it's at 6 o'clock. Now I will have a direct link right below to how you can make a reservation. The cover charge is zero. Okay, so this show will sell out. The Triad's a very big club. I think it seats like 120 max or something like that, including the balcony. But not only am I encouraging you to welcome Rebecca to our community because she's a wonderful singer, and I can't wait. I mean, I heard you with just Gregory and Skip. I can't wait to hear you with your band and Sean and whoever he books for you. But it's a beautiful voice. I love the concept. I really love the concept. And people, it's free. So if you want to get to know someone new to the community and show her a little bit of love and welcome her the way we like to welcome new people to our community, right below will be a link to direct RSVP to the show. You have to make a reservation in order to attend. Tell me a little bit about why you chose the Triad. It's more a kind of theatrical looking place. Was there a reason behind that? I mean, I think because it's a free show, you need the seats, let's face it. But you could have done it pretty much anywhere. Do you have an affinity for the Triad? Do you like the Triad Theater?
Really like the Triad very much. And we needed a space where there was room for essentially there will be seven of us on stage. And so we needed a space where that could accommodate that. And we looked at a number of places. And as you might suspect, we're new. And some of the places that would have accommodated that just we aren't known. We aren't a known quantity to them. And so they weren't eager to book us. They wanted to know, historically, how many folks have you had in your audiences? Well, we're brand new. We don't have those connections. So talked to Russ Moss at the Triad and talked to him about it. And he said, you could just book the room, rent it. You could just, and so that's what we're doing. And we want it to be joyful and fun. And we want to include as many people as possible. Just what we keep saying to Sean is we're going to make good music and we're going to have great fun.
Yeah, I did that for a birthday show one time because I always felt unless you're doing a birthday show and charging to do a benefit, it seems kind of weird for me to say, hey, come to my party and, oh yeah, pay $20 cover charge. So since you are introducing yourself to our community, now tell me a little bit about where you're from. You say because we're new to town. We didn't discuss, you mentioned where you're from earlier, but when did you get to town and how did you find where you're living and are you happy and how do you think of, what do you think of New York so far?
Well, we are originally from Springfield, Illinois. Both my husband and I are originally from Springfield and essentially lived and worked there our whole lives until 2007, when I referenced this earlier. I became chief of staff at a university, Murray State University in Murray, Kentucky. And then that was the beginning step of what my husband affectionately calls the magical mystery tour. Because in higher education, you tend to, even in administrator roles, which I was, but faculty do this as well, you tend to move from place to place. So our magical mystery tour started in Springfield, Illinois, took us to Murray, Kentucky, Athens, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, Laramie, Wyoming, back to Columbus, Ohio. And then that was when I started at the final university for which I worked, which is Western Governors University. And they were making some leadership changes. And they said, hey, would you consider being the regional vice president for a team that's an outreach team for the Mid-Atlantic and New England? And I talked to my husband and he said, every vacation we have ever taken is in New York City. Why would we say no to this? So we moved out here in December of 2019 and we're just sort of getting settled. We were renting in Jersey City, sort of getting settled. And 3 months later, the world shut down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it became really challenging. We did a little bit of music collaboration in that year with a church in the village, in Greenwich Village. And then after that, as the world started to open up, and my job was a lot, I was doing a lot of travel up and down the Eastern Seaboard, but also out to the main university offices, which were in Salt Lake City. So it sort of became impossible for us to do music. And my husband had said, when we moved out here, he said, I'm done. I've played a lot of places, had a great time. He said, these New York players, I can't break in. And, he's now in his late 70s. He was in his mid 70s when we moved out here. And so we said, fine. We did some YouTube recording and just the two of us would do some things. But when I first got engaged in the cabaret community was just last summer. I did a cabaret workshop with Faith Prince at the 92nd Street Y, and the bug bit me. I thought this is really a different art form, a different musical art form than I've ever experienced. And there is so much for me to learn. And so started engaging in that community and have had some opportunities to play some piano and I do many open mics. And as much as anything, I'm trying to learn at the open mics, trying to network, as you've referenced, but also just listening to other people and learning and getting ideas for how you tell the story through music.
That's the best way to do it. I mean, I think that the best education is just going out and seeing what you like and watching shows and making those contacts and whatever. So I'm really, really happy to get to know you, and I'm really, really happy to get to introduce you to our community. And I hope that you all come out and welcome Rebecca at the Triad on Sunday night, February 22nd at 6 o'clock. Remember, 6 o'clock. It's an earlier show. It's going to be like a 70-minute show.
Right. That's
Great.
right. It'll be 70 to 75 minutes. And you have mentioned a couple times no cover charge. There is also no drink minimum. They
Oh,
will have service if anyone wants it, but you are not you're not required to have any particular purchases there
it's a
because it's a
win-win
private. Yeah,
situation.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm just glad that I know that everyone will come in droves and that everyone will get to know your name. What is the big dream for this? What do you hope that doing this will create for you? Just putting your name on the map, letting people know what you do. What's the big dream? Do you want to do more cabaret, do you think, or
I think so, but I also want to just keep learning. So I want to get out there and and get this one done and then continue to go to other people's shows, continue to go to the open mics and then search for what I think is probably the beginning. What you always have to do is what is the idea? What is the story that you want to tell? And I hope that this story will resonate with people, but I want to continue to learn new ways to tell stories and that are meaningful for people, but that are also authentic for me.
it's funny. In closing, the two ladies that I most admire in the world, Ella Fitzgerald and Julie Wilson, both basically said the same thing. If you stop learning, you stop growing. And Julie, at 85 years old, said every time she went to see someone's cabaret show, she learned something. And to me, that's what it's all about, people. We think we know what we're doing. I've been doing this for 40 years. I know what I'm doing, but I don't. And every opportunity is another chance to learn something new and to meet someone new and to see what they bring to the table. So congratulations. And on behalf of our community, welcome. I can't wait to see your show. Everyone, Rebecca Watts, we'll see you on Sunday the 22nd, February 22nd, up at the Triad. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for joining me so much. I really appreciate you being with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.